So over the last few weeks on this channel, as it's become increasingly clear that the Big 12 was going to add Cincinnati among the three others, I've said multiple times, I need to know more about Cincinnati. I need to become more well-versed. Enter Chad Brendel from Bearcat Journal. He has 16 years on the beat covering Cincinnati, and I got the scoop on everything going on right now with the Bearcats. If you're a Big 12 fan, are you worried about Luke Fickell sticking around? He's got some really good information on that. If you are one of the AAC teams wondering how much am I going to have to pay, how much will my team, my school have to pay to get into the Big 12, some very good info on that, and just some general background on Cincinnati, including, of course, that Skyline Chili, right? We can't make it through a conversation without talking about that. It's really good stuff. Wanted to give you guys this little intro and a heads up on what is to come here. So before I get to that, again, please subscribe if you have not. This is a college football channel. I'm talking college football every day. Right now, that means talking realignment every day. I aim to give the Big 12 a voice. So let's learn more about one of our new Big 12 members and some key information here from Chad Brendel.
You mentioned the fact that 2016, there was a flirtation there with the Big 12. And I appreciated the fact that the Cincinnati, I don't remember if it was the football account or the athletics account, had tweeted the old pictures of the banners that, of course, were made up in 2016. Take me through what that saga was like from the Cincinnati side of things in 2016.
I mean, I think Cincinnati felt like if the Big 12 decided to expand, they were in. A lot of the talk back then was centered around BYU, whether BYU was a non-starter or not, because of their, some of the religious affiliation and Sundays and, some of the stances that they had taken. I think that's probably where things got hung up, was that BYU was a no-go. So then they weren't going to add just one. So Cincinnati kind of got left at the altar in 2016. The fan base took it pretty hard because Cincinnati was really the one team that got left in the cold. It was a gigantic game of musical chairs. The music stopped and Cincinnati didn't have a seat. I mean, I guess you could throw UConn in there, but they don't care about football. So, they found their home, which is ironic in all this because UConn probably would have been a layup for the Big 12 had they just held pat for one more year and let things play out. It's fun looking back now because, it's been rectified. But at the time, it was pretty rough on this fan base because there was a lot of hope that the last life raft on the Titanic was going to save them. And then they just kind of pushed them off the side of the raft and let them sink. And yeah, that was tough at that time.
No, I can definitely understand that. I'm talking right now with Chad Brendel from Bearcat Journal. If you were to give an elevator pitch to those who are less familiar with Cincinnati, I mean, look, I know obviously the football history here, recent memory, the run of coaches they've had in the last 15 years is pretty remarkable. Basketball program's very strong. I know there's been a lot of money pumped into the facilities here in the last 6 or 7 years. You can articulate that better than I can. What's the elevator pitch for why Cincinnati makes sense in the Big 12 and will be a really valuable member?
Cincinnati has, through the years, and especially over the past 10 years or so, done more with less than anybody in the country. They've continued, even when they got left out, they continued to act like a Power 5 program. They've spent like a Power 5 program. They spent $90 million to renovate Nippert Stadium. They spent $90 million to completely gut and redo Fifth Third Arena. They've paid their coaches. Luke Fickell's making $3.5 million a year. That's not the type of money you see thrown around at the Group of Five. So getting the chance to see what Cincinnati can do with more, I think should be exciting to everybody because they're in a fertile recruiting ground. They're in a major metropolitan area. They've got a president and an athletic director that both really understand the importance of athletics to the university. They're behind it 100%. They're already in talks to build a brand new indoor practice facility for Luke Fickell. All of the things that need to be in place for Cincinnati to be in play, a major player, are either in place or they're in the works.
For Fickell, how What are the nerves like, I guess, for Cincinnati fans and those associated with the program right now about that job being open and him potentially being targeted there?
A lot of people really aren't aware, because he doesn't talk about it much, the number of schools that he's turned down. Baylor came very hard after him on their last coaching search. Louisville, he's turned down. West Virginia, he's turned down. Florida State had him at the top of their list at one point in time. And then, obviously Michigan State and the very public courtship there that Luke Fickell turned down. So, I mean, I'm sure USC is going to reach out. He worked for Mike Bone and Brandon Sosna, who are the two power players at USC now. But people have to remember this. Luke Fickell has lived outside of Ohio 1 year in his life. And that was the year he tried to get going in the NFL. He left that, went to Akron and started his coaching career, then went back to Ohio State where he played and, became one of the best assistants in college football from Ohio State to Cincinnati. He's got 6 kids. He's got a wife that is very ingrained in the Cincinnati community now, and also still very close to where she grew up and her family, about an hour and a half away. So all of that combined, USC just doesn't make a lot of sense for Fickell, for his family, moving the entire crew out to Los Angeles, having to find the right, situation, living spot. It just doesn't seem like a move Luke Fickell would make. That's not to say that there aren't, moves that Luke Fickell could make. I think where the fan base is probably most focused right now is, you've heard a lot of rumors about James Franklin.
Right.
And if Penn State opens up, would Penn State come after Luke Fickell, and how attractive would that job be, as he could stay a little bit more in his Midwest roots and, go to one of the more prestigious programs in the country? Would that be a concern? I would be more worried about the ripple effect of something like Penn State would open than I would be with USC.
Coming into the Big 12, you know that there's going to be a price tag. It was $10 million and 27 months for the AAC was the bylaws laid out there. Everybody expects 2023 to be the start date. I guess we could start there. Is that what you're anticipating as well? And what do you think it'll cost Cincinnati to get to the league?
I do think 23 makes the most sense. It's a 27-month exit, though. The league will want probably July 1st of the year that they come in, the start of the fiscal year, when they'll want those teams to be official. That's like 22 months, from the notice. So if you look, UConn left after a year. So they still had like 15, 17, I don't know what the exact number is, but they still had a significant amount of time remaining on their exit, and they paid $17 million. So the 3 schools are going to be leaving much closer to the actual, exit date, the allowed exit date than what UConn did. So I would guess you're talking 15 million. I would think that's probably fair. And then if you're the AAC, between 3 schools, that gets you $45 million extra to distribute amongst the remaining members. That seems right to me. I mean, I don't, that's not something I have inside knowledge on. That's just trying to piece things together. It could be a little more, it could be a little less, but Mike Oresco has made it clear that he is open to allowing those schools to leave early. And with that being the case, I have to think they take advantage, because I can't imagine Texas and Oklahoma playing in the Big 12 in 2023. They're saying the right things, but it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. The SEC is not going to want to wait, 4 years for those two to jump in. But even if they do, I mean, if you go to 14 for a couple of years, it's not a terrible thing. It's funny. Somebody was like, hey, somebody asked on Bearcat Journal, do you think this means that we'll get Oklahoma and Texas at home before they go? And I said, well, I think they'll be gone first. But second, I don't think that the Big 12 is going to be allowed to give them 9 road games every year. They might want to.
They'll try. Yeah.
But I don't think that that they'll go for it. So But July 1st, 2023 seems the most logical, and I would guess around 15 million for the exit fee.
Right. Well, before I let you go, and really appreciate the time again, Chad Brendel from Bearcat Journal with me here. I pledged to everybody on the YouTube channel that was telling me, hey, you need to learn more about Cincinnati. You need to learn more about Cincinnati. I'm trying to learn about Cincinnati here. So what traditions, colloquialisms, et cetera, do I need to know about Cincinnati, whether it's the city, the Bearcats, whatever it might be here?
We're going to have to get you to Skyline when you get to town.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on chili on spaghetti?
Yeah, look, I feel like it gets a lot of hate, and I don't quite understand it. I mean, I like spaghetti and I like chili. I'm more than willing to try it together.
Well, here's the thing this is where people get confused about the Cincinnati chili thing, I think it's a branding issue because it's more chili sauce than it is chili.
Okay.
It's the Greek version of Italian sauce because it's Greek. It's got cinnamon in it, a little bit of chocolate. So it's got a different flavor than chili. I think that's what freaks people out. They think of chili, they think thick and, hearty. This isn't that. It's chili sauce. And if people thought of it that way, I think it wouldn't be as divisive. But really, the one you have to get, the thing you have to get when you come to Cincinnati, you got to get Grater's.
Okay.
The best ice cream on the planet.
Okay.
It is outstanding. They have their kind of specialty is a black raspberry chocolate chip.
Well, I mean, that sounds great. Yeah.
It's out of this world good. The university, it's one of the oldest, football playing universities in the country. The rivalry with Miami of Ohio is the longest standing rivalry on the Midwest. You'll want to watch before the game as the band sprints down the very steep steps of Nippert Stadium onto the field. Every once in a while, you'll catch somebody that has a little bit of a tumble. So that's always entertaining. Fifth Third Arena is outstanding. They've completely gutted it and turned it into a very modern facility with multiple specialty bars. A lot of the Cincinnati's German heritage shines through. There's a lot of local breweries that have popped up over the past 10 years. You can get all those at Fifth Third Arena. You can also, they have a bourbon bar that I know is very popular as well. It's a great city. It's a little bit, the pace is a little bit slower than a lot of places. So you get the big city feel, but it doesn't maybe feel as rushed and hurried